training. Isn't that weird? Cool. We'll just see if I have audio. Well, someone's in already, and they like it. Let's see who else in here. Hey, what's up? Can you hear me? Making sure the audio is working this time. Nice. Good to hear it. Yeah, last time was a bit of a problem with the audio. I'm just watching some of the guys train. We're doing collar sleeve passing. So if you guys have any questions or anything, just go ahead and shoot it. I'll be kind of going back and forth between coaching them. I might jump in and train a little bit and then answering your guys' questions. Let me know if you guys have any questions or about positions or concepts or anything, and I'll take the questions as well as coach them. Who's Jeep Mangler? Who are you? John, let me come over. I need to roll, bro, please. Looking forward to the BJJ Summit with you, Rob Bernanke, Rory Van. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Do you think one should invert to avoid being stacked? I think, yeah, inverting to avoid. I feel like inverting is putting yourself stacked. I guess rather a question is, should you invert to recompose the guard, and do you risk getting stacked when you invert? I think that whenever I can, I try to recompose without having to invert. I don't like to invert much. Obviously, like if you're inverting on a berimbolo, you're already in a dominant position, so the inversion is part of the process to take the back. I think that's okay. But if you're someone's passing your guard and you have to invert, often they can switch to like a hip grip and stack you. And even if you're hyper flexible, if they can get your hip up off the mat, it's always really bad for you. So I try to always inverting if I can when retaining my guard. If you absolutely have to, sometimes you can do it, but it's always a bit of a risk. Is there any way to get more range of motion when applying Americana? Most of the time, the guy just arches, and it is hard to finish. I guess it depends slightly on the position you're in. If you're doing it like from mount or side control, from side control. I mean, it's less of a common attack, I guess, at a higher level. But you've probably seen this a million times online, but I always focus on pulling the elbow down towards the hip. So if you stay up high and try to like finish the Americana up here, they have a lot more ability to rotate this way, right? But like if you pull it down here and go that way, it tends to get a lot tighter. Oh, no problem, Juan Romero. It's fun doing. I mean, this is easy for me. We're just training here, so I'm just taking questions and hanging out. So no problem. Logan Sharipar asked, do you transition from collar sleeve to vice as a system? Yeah, I would say like the single sleeve control is like if you look at the guy on bottom right now, he's playing with that sleeve. He's playing collar sleeve. If he lets go of that collar, it's like a single sleeve grip. So from that sleeve grip, I'll transition to a lot of guards, right? I'll go to collar sleeve. I'll go to cross sleeve. So you wouldn't necessarily directly switch from collar sleeve. I'll wait until they finish this sequence and then I'll demo real quick. I wouldn't necessarily switch directly from collar sleeve to vice guard, but from that single sleeve control, I absolutely will switch to it, right? So you could be easily playing a collar sleeve attack system, and if the guy tries to posture out or something like that, I could switch up to the cross sleeve. I'll show real quick. Just let them keep going, guys. It's fine. I'm going to show after the sequence. Go ahead. Nice, Danny. Nice. All right, I'll show real quick. I'll just use Danny. You're on top. Yeah. So if I'm in collar sleeve here, he was just asking about transitioning from collar sleeve to vice. So yeah, this is like, I call this single sleeve control. And from like one sleeve, like with a lasso, I can go, if he grabs this, I could go to double sleeve. If he hides this, I could go collar sleeve. I could go cross sleeve. This can turn into De La Hiva and a lot of stuff like that, right? So if I was playing collar sleeve here, it would be very possible to, like, if I'm like, say, looking for an old plot, he postures up really hard, I could switch to a cross sleeve like that and go lace to De La Hiva X. From here, I can switch up high on the lapel and start switching out to the vice control bump, go for the triangle there. If he keeps trying to posture out of the vice, you can use that to start going for the back here, transition there. So you can absolutely switch from that sleeve control. Possibly as well, if I'm in collar sleeve, sometimes I'll use this like knee shield with my right leg here to adjust, and I could go directly to De La Hiva X. From that, I could probably break, go cross sleeve, bump him, pull the leg out, and now I'm in the vice here. And then I can start attacking there. Maybe go, if he pummels the arm in, to go for the Tariqa Plata, stuff like that. You guys keep going. Go ahead. Will leg locks become more common in gi competitions, do you think? I think in the last couple of years, especially with like Mikey making the straight ankle lock really popular, I think it's already been growing a lot. I think it will continue to grow. So for sure, I think it'll continue to go that direction. Benjamin Goodman's asking, how do you handle explosive guys who blow by your guard before you have grips? So it's kind of a broad question. So there's two issues going on there, right? Like one is the grip fighting issue and one is the guard retention issue. So the reality is that question is there's no one answer for that, right? What a lot of people want in jiu-jitsu are these kind of broad general principles that connect everything, that make everything kind of come together. And those unfortunately often don't exist, right? So without actually context of seeing exactly how someone's passing your guard, it's not like there's this one trick or one detail that's going to make it to where some big, strong, explosive guy can't just run past your guard, right? So what I would say more that you should be thinking about is if someone passes your guard, when you start with no grips and you're in your guard, the first battle is the grip fight. I'm trying to establish some kind of guard control that I can control. He's trying to initiate some kind of pass. So if I effectively get the guard control I want, like let's say I want to get to De La Hiva or close guard or spider guard, if I establish one of those positions, then I won the grip fight battle. Now if he passes my spider guard, the issue is my spider guard, not the grip fight, because I actually got the spider guard. I just lost that grip fight, right? If the match starts and I can't even get to the position I would like to get to, or a position at all, and he starts passing, then you need to figure out why you couldn't get to a guard that you wanted, right? And that's not always going to be the same reason. One guy, you may be on your back with your feet up and he drops the double unders and he starts stacking you from double unders and you're not good at defending that, so he passes, right? But another guy, you may come in and instead of doing double unders, he pushes your feet to the floor and bullfighters around. Each of those issues is going to have a separate problem. So I wish there was like one simple little thing I could tell you that's going to solve all your problems, but it really doesn't exist, right? A lot of people like that idea of just like this like fundamental concept principle that connects everything, but it really doesn't exist. You just have to piece by piece break it down position by position. Good question. As a light feather, wait, let me take a different person, then I'll come back to that one. Back again, asking how to finish Kimuras on big dudes. I wouldn't say that's something I'm not like super good at. I don't use a ton of Kimuras, at least from bottom. I do think the Tariqa Plata, if you guys have, you can YouTube it. There's a lot of, I know Andres has done a video on it. Tariq Hopstock's a guy in Norway who kind of made it famous. I think it's very easy to transition from a Kimura to Tariqa Plata, and that's a great attack option if the guy's really strong because you're using your leg more to finish it rather than the arm itself. Let's see. As a light feather, how do you bump larger training partners to the ground from De La Riva X into the Vice? So you can't always. So if I have like the cross sleeve, actually, let me borrow Daniel real quick. Sorry, but disturb your training too much. So if I'm here, right, and I'm like this and I go to the Vice, right, and like he postures up a lot, even if I have the lapel. If he already has posture, maybe turn this way a little bit, right? If he already has posture, I can't always break him down. Posture up really hard here. I cannot always break him down. So if I really, really wanted to try posture up really hard, get all the way up, I can stand up with my left leg, and if I jump, I can actually, we'll see if I can do it without breaking him down. Like if you're fighting someone who's like super supplemented, right? Deadlift really hard here, all the way up. I can even stand like this, right? So here, if I jump all the way back really hard, go up again like this, and I jump back like that. A lot of times if you do it, I don't want to do it super hard here. If you do it, he can't break this. I just follow him up and I jump and rip him really back far. He'll get really off balance, post the hand. I swipe and go for the triangle. However, if I was here like this, my lapel grip's lower and he deadlifts really hard, I can also just let go of this and shoot this deep. Now, if I'm here like this, sometimes breaking him down is just not in the cards, right? So from here, I could easily leave my shin over the thigh, grab the hip, and now I start chasing either a berimbolo or a classic back take. So I would say if I'm starting in the De La Riva X, like this here, and I just can't, I can't bring him down from this, I usually grab high on the lapel here. I put this right foot on the floor, and I drive forward this way and tuck this arm. That'll usually force him down. If he absolutely doesn't want to, I would just try to transition to the back, right? The vice guard, it's good. The vice guard's a really good position, but just like any other position, you can't force it when it's not there. You have to take what the person's giving you, not what you want. I make that same mistake all the time. You develop some new guard, some new attack you want to do, and what happens is you're trying to, you learn the new technique, so you want to use it. It's natural. But when you go into a normal role, your partner is just trying to fight. And especially if he knows what you're trying to do, he's going to start naturally trying to defend it as you go for it. And then you keep chasing what may or may not actually be there. And then you're trying to force something that's not going to work, right? So understand where the vice guard actually comes up, and then you can use it, but also understand when it's actually not there. And you do need to use those other attack systems as well. No guard is like a thing that will always work. You have to have multiple guards to connect things, right? I like keeping the, when I'm doing the berimbolo, I like to keep the deep De La Riva hook for sure. Well, in the off balance process, I'm usually using the De La Riva hook, the shallow one, to off balance them backwards. And then I get my right shin over the knee line. And then once I invert, I lace the leg deep. But I'm also not a bolo like expert. I feel very good with it, but that's not my, A game, right? I would say it's like my B game. So I'm probably not the best person for like the super in-depth bolo questions, but for me, that works really well. What are you guys working on? Okay, can you show me? Just go ahead and keep going. I want to check it out. Nice. So like one thing I would say, let me do it real quick, is like when he's being a, go here, Tomic. So we'll go on this side. Right, so go lasso, collar, sleeve. All right, go ahead. Lasso, collar, sleeve. Is if you're here trying to get this and he's already shielding super hard and you can't get that inside frame position there, I usually use that threat to this side really hard first to open his hip, because sometimes he's so shielded here, even this inside grip here, it's just you can't get any form of pressure. Whereas if I put my chest weight down on this foot and like jam it back in, and just start like kind of half going this way, he like has to open to respond. You see, yeah, and he frames even there. I keep framing hard with your arm, right? And if he does that, a lot of times I'll try to jam that because he opens that elbow space. Then I can drop. Now I can pin this, and now it's hard to get this back up in the same manner that you had it before. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right. And then now I can start trying to come up here, potentially stack. Just depends on where he goes. Maybe get that knee in there. But I think you have to utilize that like threat to the left side first. Do you have a bolo from the De La Riva hook on the vice? Yeah, absolutely. If you have the vice guard in and the guy allows you to get that that deep lace with the left De La Riva hook, especially if they fall to their butt, which a lot of people will do from the vice, then it's very easy to get your shin over the knee line and grab the hip, right? But again, you have to like be good at bolos in itself to kind of be good at seeing where that ending is. So if you already have a good bolo game, I think you'll almost automatically see where all the bolos are from the vice. If you don't know how to bolo, then I would put a lot of effort in figuring out the bolo itself. Maybe check out Daniel Myra and Nick Sowles. Oh, there you go. I have been using the bolo alternative from Lucas Galbraith to get the crab ride that Nick Sowles talked about with great success. Keep it up. Yeah. Yeah. Check out Nick Sowles and Daniel Myra. They have some amazing bolo and crab ride knowledge. When I had them here, it helped me tremendously just to speed up those positions. Jiu-jitsu, it's like really like university. You know, you could have a degree in physics, you could have a degree in engineering, you could have a degree in mathematics, and there's a bit of crossover, but like you can really have expertise. So anyone thinking that like just because they're a certain level, it like, you know, I'm a black belt and I have a lot of accomplishments and stuff, but like, you know, there's people who've wrestled since they were like 5, and, you know, like I'm like a white belt in single leg takedowns, right? So you really want to like use multiple sources for learning your knowledge. Any tips for making it harder for your partner to loop their hand out of the lasso? I've already been working on transitioning to other guards, but some guys make the loop hard. I want to be able to. That's an excellent question from Dako Moy. Yeah, so when someone's trying to loop out of your lasso, Dako Moy, are you playing collar sleeve lasso, double sleeve lasso, or just a lasso? And is it a shallow lasso? Sorry, that's like a million questions. Just explain the exact position you're in with the lasso, and then I'll address it with one of them as soon as I have a sec. Generally shallow with collar sleeve. Okay. Yeah, so I'll let them finish this sequence, and then I'm going to answer pull the plugs question about training at home with his girlfriend, who's like a lot smaller, and how to make the most use out of that. And then I'll address the lasso issue. Nice. I would hard shin drive over that. Yeah. Or forearm over the shin. Yeah. Yeah. You mean if he's really low with that shin? Yeah, that's why like I do that like elbow drop, like not like WWE, but let me do it. Like when I'm here, and like you were here, right? And then like knee shield this a bit, and like somehow like you're shielding here, and you have collar sleeve, right? Yeah. I think you were collar sleeve though, right? Maybe. Yeah, like here, like I start trying to do that really hard, right? But I think this doesn't feel like where you were at. Like I feel like here you would be getting past, right? So like kind of be tight with it. I think you were low with the shin. Yeah, like so you get in here. No, go down. Dana, real quick. Huh? Yeah, can you open it for Arash? Yeah, so you're here, right? Yeah, so like you're in here, right? And you were trying to do this and you're knee shielding really hard here, right? And you get this guy. Here, like I might try to stack, but what he's doing is he's like super shin pressuring. Yes, right? And here I feel like you have to like do that shit. Yeah, turn this way just so they can see it too. Yeah, like I'm here like this, and then because he's shin driving really hard, like I'm not going to be able to get that kind of like Lepre knee crush. So I just do like this really fucking hard, and that'll like break it too, right? All right, let me show the lasso thing real quick. So it's easiest if you're in collar sleeve with the lasso to reset it. So I can go palm up, of course, but if the guy's really strong with this, start looping out here. When he starts looping out, I push this away like this, so loop out. I push away and I unlasso, and then I go to the hip. Right now I can start fighting from here. You know, if he gets his elbow back in,
right? I can lasso, go back on lasso. I push, I go here to the hip. Maybe he tries to pull his elbow back. I come back. But like using that pushing, lasso, push, hip, bicep, lasso, that's really good. If you're fighting a guy who's really good at that, it's just I start here. I try to stay tight. I try to do all this stuff, right? But then he just keeps looping. Go there. Push. Now I can start attacking triangles and playing collar sleeve from here. Keymaster, work underneath, all this stuff. And then at any point he pulls his elbow back really tight, I go to De La Hiva, he kills his leg. Boom, we're back in a lasso, push, he loops out, push, go here, right? Go loop out again. You could also sometimes just kick out, pull it back in, and reset as well. Yo, what up, Kev? Yeah, you can. I mean, you can come in. It's cool. So, you guys keep going. It's cool. Yeah, the push. Tommy Lanker used that all the time, actually. What's up, dude? Red Bull. I need to like tape these to my head. It's hard to like demo with that on. Why can't I super chat? Let me give you money. Okay. Well, I don't know what the super chat is, but you can give me money if you want. How do you know what a super chat is, Kevin? All right. My IT guy will be back in a minute. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out a little bit. Brad Souders, do you have a guard retention game plan for low passers, i.e., over, under, double stack passers? I live in a wrestling state, less standing passers, and way more pressure passers. Yeah, I mean, it follows more or less the same model of like conceptually. It's that he's trying to initiate his pass position. You're trying to establish a guard, right? So if you establish spider guard, it doesn't matter if he's an over under passer or a double under passer or whatever. You're in spider guard. If you establish close guard, doesn't matter if he's an over under, double under, whatever. You're in close guard. So the grip fight conceptually is the same. The only difference is that the passes he's trying to implement on you earlier are over under and double under, rather than say a Toriando or trapping your leg and doing a knee cut, right? So if you grip fight well, you could get a lasso or a spider early. We'll deal with it in a minute, Arash. It's cool. You can deal with like get like a lasso spider or something like that early. Then it won't matter. But of course, if he gets double unders or over under or something like that, then you do need to have specific defenses for each of those passes. That's really important. I don't know if I've put videos out on that. Actually, if you message me on Instagram, just tell me that you're the guy from the YouTube chat that did this. And I actually have a private stash of videos. I can send you a couple defenses for each ones of those individually. Yeah, check me out. Instagram, it's at John Thomas BJJ. Just DM me on there and I'll send you the a Dropbox with a bunch of techniques on specifically that. But yeah, long story short, you do need a specific defense for each one of those. And again, it's not like a broad concept. Like each one of those is different. Like double unders is different than over under. And even within the over under, there's different styles of the over under, and there's different ways to defend each kind of variation. So just like anything in jiu-jitsu, it's super deep, right? Everyone wants these like really simple principles that connect everything. But like you just saw, like when you're in collar sleeve, like they're going to specific spar collar sleeve for probably like an hour. And like, it seems like, oh, it's just collar sleeve. But like one little change, like where he has his leg, or like if Tomic, the guy on bottom, switched to the shoulder there when he tried to pass, now he's going to double sleeve. Now he's looking for the collar. Like it's like there's so many little meta details that makes these positions work and not work. You can't like solve them with just like, here's a technique. Like you have to spend hours and hours and hours in these positions learning all the details, right? And of course, it's easier if you have a coach that knows those positions. They can save you a lot of time. But either way, you just need to spend a lot of time in there to learn all the variations. As you learn all the variations, then the match just becomes a combination of multiple mini games. So they may start in collar sleeve, and then if Daniel gets enough pressure, he might switch to the ankle and start playing collar ankle, and then that becomes a different game. And that's just how jiu-jitsu works, just combinations of multiple different games. Let's see here. Hey, Richard. Good to see you, bud. Thanks for saying hey. Let's take another question.
Okay, how to prevent people from elevating you and going to X guard when you push their legs in between your legs. So this is the question from the guy with Russian symbols in his name. I can't say your name. Are you referring to from De La Hiva guard, like when you trap their leg in De La Hiva and they bump you overhead, and how to prevent that? Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll jump in now, actually. Let me use Donahue.
Now? Yeah, I got it now. I think it's good. All right. Sound. All right. Get this man some AirPods. I have AirPods. I think they would fall out a lot easier than this, though. Okay, so none of you got any of the stuff I just showed you about the when you bump in De La Riva, right? It might have just died. I don't know if it did. Good job. Okay, correct. Okay. Okay, I'll show again really fast. Sorry. Okay, so basically, long story short, when I trap the leg, I like to use my left knee behind the hamstring, right? Because if he's going to counterbalance me overhead, when I initially trap, a lot of you guys have probably seen this before, the left knee behind the hamstring gives me counterbalance to that overhead pressure, right? First thing I do, put this hook in, is I push the De La Riva hook down, right? If he has this knee tight as well when I trap, he has a little more ability to bump me. So sometimes I try to disconnect this knee from my knee. If I can get good weight on my right arm on the hamstring, like this, then when I trap here too, go ahead and grab the collar, and he starts bumping forward, this right hand here in the hamstring gives me a lot of counter support as well. That's another good way to prevent it. And another one I really like too is if I'm here trapping, most of the time I'm worried about is when he's on the collar. On the sleeve, it's a lot harder for him to bump, right? So I'm here like this. So when he starts going for the collars, I reach over the back and grab the collar here like this, and I can get a strong stiff arm, right? So if he starts trying to bump here, bump, this, I can kind of sprawl this left leg back a little bit and sit my hip. It gives me a really, it like brings my weight really far back because I'm sprawling this. And this gives me a good post on him, right? So now as he tries to lift here, see, I can kind of like ride my body weight on this. Now I'll use my elbow to buckle his arm so he can't stiff arm. Now it makes it easier to switch in for this underhook here, right? So 3 quick ways to do it. I'm here. Another one, if this knee is tight, I'll use my elbow to kill this. If he lassos, I can use that to get to the hamstring. And again, now it's really hard for him to create the off balance. Grab here to the lift. Yep. There, see, I get the knee, swipe this, open. Now I can start cutting, right? So the grip over the back of the neck, pushing on the hamstring, and using the left knee behind the hamstring. Oh, well, hopefully there was audio on that one. All right, you guys keep going. Man. Huh? Paper? Tissue, like tissues? Toilet paper? No, why? You can go to the bathroom, maybe. Oh no, you're fine, dude. It's. What color Giga is best with a purple belt? Probably white, I feel. Yeah, I feel like white with purple is probably the best. Let's see here. Nice. Julia's coming over at 8. Cute. Gila's coming over. I don't know about Anderson. Hey, John, any good counter to HQ besides off balancing into De La Riva or X guard and lassoing outside leg on their shoulder? Oh man, you took out the main ones. Let me think. So if I'm in De La Riva, are we assuming that I'm in De La Riva? Like I'm like if I'm holding the pant leg and they trap my leg, because when people say HQ, that kind of means they're holding your lapel with your leg trapped, but your hands could be in a lot of different positions in that case, right? You could have like a single leg grip, you could have like a reverse De La Riva ankle grip, a left hand ankle grip, like a lasso and a sleeve, double sleeve. So it's kind of like, okay, so we're assuming like my left hand is on the pant leg, they've trapped my right leg. Yeah, you could switch your left hand to the knee. A lot of guys do that. I think that's a really good one. I mean, it's, I guess I would say it's similar to going to X guard. I just don't, if they trap your leg, you're either going to get the leg out in some way,
or you're going to try to like bump them to X guard more or less. I guess you could switch to reverse De La Riva as well. But the pant, I think the knee pant grip, if you haven't seen that before, can be a really good one. I'll show it real quick after this sequence. Yeah, let me show this real quick. Dan, I'll just go on top.
Yeah, so if I'm in De La Riva and we're playing here and I have this and the guy trapped my leg right in here and I couldn't get like an initial easy bump, one really good one is to let go and grab the knee here. Because now if the guy starts trying to knee cut that way, you can kind of pull the knee back to prevent the cut. And usually when people do this, they use it to go to X guard, so that it still kind of doesn't get away from the X guard situation. We go ahead and start cutting here, right? And you can bump like this and use this to work under here. But I guess technically you could bump, push, and try to get this leg back out. That's the ultimate goal, right? And then I can come back out here and do this kind of stuff. I think that's probably the main thing when you're in De La Riva and they trap the leg is to get it out. I guess you could also, Leandro used to do this, if they trap the leg, you get the cross collar, you could try to come up to your left elbow really quick and back away. Yeah, no problem, Zukid every day. If you want to see that in a match, you can watch Kainan Duarte actually does that quite a bit where he grabs the knee. How do you deal with a double sleeve shallow lasso? Same as normal spider lasso. Hey, what's up, Jeff? I'm assuming Jocelyn's MMA is Jeff. Hey, good to see you, bud. Or, well, good to see your YouTube handle. How do you deal with double sleeve shot? So Eden Wong, is your question double sleeve lasso with a leg past body or shallow lasso spider hook? Spider hook. Yeah. That's yeah. Shout out to Jeff Dawson. Yeah, to the spider hook. That's basically you. That's like I have a YouTube video. I think it's like Spider Guard Pass that actually works. Not to be condescending, but it's the same thing. You just loop out of the lasso, and then start working your hand out to break, and then you throw. And if they're in a deep lasso, you try to loop your same thing. You just loop your hand across, try to loop out, break, and throw. Right. It's more complicated though if it's a lasso with the leg past the body. That's actually more complicated. Let's see here. Just wanted to say I've had pretty decent with your vice guard. Thanks, buddy. Oh, no problem, Mike. Happy you like it. Okay, concept question. Oh yeah, someone before was asking about how to make use of training when you're just like at home with your girlfriend. She doesn't really train much, or she's like a lot smaller. I mean, the first thing is I think you can get like meaningful training in that way, but you have to put a lot of effort into her first to make her like a realistic training partner. And of course, like just doing regular sparring rounds is not going to benefit you that much, right? Like if you just try to go like fucking Pohada every day and like, you know, beat up your girlfriend, that's not going to help. So, but like starting like the best way you could actually make progress would be you have to pick a position you want to work on, and then have her start in the position and teach her the responses that she could have that would give you a problem, right? So if she has no knowledge, like a starting point of zero knowledge, it's going to take forever to get her up to speed on absolutely everything, right? But you could have her first off, pick a position that's like relative for her that it would be useful, right? Like trying to work on your berimbolo defense with her is not going to be super useful, because you have to teach her how to berimbolo first, and that's really complicated, right? And like also doing maybe like you know, practicing your deadlift defense is probably not good as well, because she's not like super strong, can posture a lot. But if you're working on, say, you know, playing collar sleeve, you could actually do that with her. Like you could have her just be on top, just kind of be annoying and defend. And then you just kind of go really light, try to use not much strength at all, and learn to control the position. And then go really slow and see if you can beat her using really slow movement. And then if she creates a position that gives you a hard time, then you analyze it more, and then put a lot of effort into teaching her how to actually counter the position. If she doesn't know what to do in a position, you do tell her, okay, here, I want you to try to loop my leg.
And then the process of you trying to make her better at dealing with it is going to make you understand it better. And if you do it long enough, she'll eventually actually be able to give you realistic counters, right? I can roll with people much smaller than me, and not as strong. I roll with girls and like get tons technically out of it, as long as you're training technically, because you're trying to understand why what's happening is happening, right? So I would say stick to positions and put a lot of effort in training them to give you appropriate responses. Nice, Daniel. Okay, but yep. To be as efficient as Tarantula Guard. Yeah, do you find collar and sleeve as efficient as Tarantula Guard? From my POV, I see it is objectively worse due to the lesser degree of posture break. I might be wrong. Yeah, I would say collar sleeve. And we'll definitely play some Half-Life in a minute. Jerseys. My opinion, collar sleeve is absolutely hands down better than Tarantula Guard. Tarantula Guard is, for you guys who don't know, it's basically one spider hook and one lapel. It's like Homolo Bahal plays it all the time. I always call it Homolo Guard. So I think first off, you always hear this thing in jiu-jitsu where people talk about like breaking posture. I don't think that that's even a thing that matters. Like, I don't think in those terms, right? There's a lot of positions where breaking posture is not what you want to do. You, like, for example, if someone like is in closed guard and they stand up, doing the lumberjack sweep is a great option, right? So just because you can't forcefully break someone's posture in a position doesn't mean it's not necessarily useful. Like in the Kyotera ankle lock guard, if the guy tries to deadlift, you're going to break his ankle. But it's not because you broke his posture, it's because he exposed an ankle lock, right? So I think, let's see, collar and sleeve brings more elbow posturing, leads to more entries to omoplata and De La Riva. And also, there's another thing with breaking posture in collar sleeve. This is a quick hack. I'll show it real fast. Is most people have a hard time. I'll use tongue. Most people have a hard time breaking posture in collar sleeve because they grab so high on the collar. So if I'm here, just keep your elbow tight. Yeah. And he postures really hard like this, slowly, but that's fine. Yeah. And he postures really hard like this, it's actually really hard on my hand to hold this. So you would think to break his posture, holding really high would make it easier, right? But actually, if I want to break his posture, I grab a lower, right? So now if he deadlifts here, deadlift really hard here. Go ahead. You can go really hard. That's fine. I'll loosen up even more. I'll let you deadlift, right? So deadlift here, go all the way up. That's fine. See, this here is easy for me to hold, but it's really uncomfortable on him. Because when I grab lower, my arm is here. Think if this is where as far as my arm can go. Deadlift all the way up. Look, there's no way I can hold all the way up there, right? So unless my hand is stronger than his deadlift, there's no way to hold that. However, if I'm grabbing about like right here, like this really low grip, and he postures up really hard, see, this is really annoying for him. So you keep deadlifting here really hard. See, this is annoying. See, and now sometimes I'll inch up here and pull him. Now it's hard for him to even get started. But if he deadlifts really hard, go up and deadlift again. I'll just lower my grip a little bit and grab here. See, and now I can start moving and readjusting. So that's one of the issues with the posture break in collar sleeve is grabbing lower on the lapel. Yeah, I was making sure the audio didn't go out. That would have sucked. So get that. Yeah, and then as well with collar sleeve, the transition options are so much more. Like your ability, I don't know why the visual is so bad now. In collar sleeve, the transitions are so much more. Like you can fast switch from collar to like from collar sleeve to collar and ankle and go for a berimbolo really quick. You can fast switch from sleeve to double sleeve really quick, and now you're playing double sleeve. You can go from collar sleeve to double sleeve to collar sleeve on the opposite side. You can go from collar sleeve to cross sleeve to deep lace De La Riva. There's so many options, right? You can lasso, unlasso, deep lasso, go to the deep lasso Mergali sweeps. You can switch to sit-up guard. It's like it segues to everything. And if you know how to control it, you can break the guy's posture all the time. And if he does hyper deadlift, usually he exposes an entrance to going under. So I just think there's so many options. Yeah, no, it was a great question. I mean, and I think Tarantula Guard's awesome too. I think with the Tarantula Guard, if I had to show someone something simple to control and they were just going to stay there, then Tarantula Guard is really good for that reason, right? But I think if you're fighting someone way stronger and knowledgeable than you, then if you learn the position well enough, collar sleeve I think gives you more option and more ability to fight a stronger opponent.
If we were to put Half-Life on later, do you think we could like do that thing, or do you think it's like really complicated? Figure it out another time. Yeah, it's probably too complicated. I suppose I could just grab the camera and do that though, right? Yeah, cool. That was good. Yeah, that high forearm pressure is everything. I know that this is the hardest part of the technique, but do you have any advice on sneaking the hand into the position for the Kyotera ankle lock? Man, I think I'm not like an expert on the Kyotera ankle lock guard, but I do think a lot of it is in the setup, and it's not even necessarily anything you're doing in the setup. It's knowing the right time to do it. If you do a leg hug de la Hiva and the guy breaks grips all the time, that's an easy time to do it because the guy posturing, the hardest time to set it up is when the guy's jamming your knee to the floor, or maybe if like he has his foot turned out really wide, those can be really hard times to set it up. But if you wait for the guy to break your grip and try to deadlift really quick, can I show something real quick? Yeah. So stand up. Let's go to leg hug de la Hiva. So let's say I'm playing leg hug de la Hiva like this. And when I play here, I like to hold my own hamstring and turn my knee in like this first, right? I don't start by chasing this because he's going to push this down. Then I'm going to have this kind of like dead hook. So I kind of center my hip up and drive my knee into the knee and grab my own hamstring like this. And I'm fighting from here. Here, if he messes with this, I'll try to get the sleeve. And now I can play with this, go to far side collar sleeve. If he grabs the knee, I could go break here, cross sleeve de la Hiva. Now I can start deep lacing. So sometimes guys are being very passive here, right? Like this, and like he's like hiding his sleeves, whatever. So I might try to pull this out and feed here because it makes it easier to reach this posture up. See, it makes it easier to reach the collar to do this. But either way, sometimes you're looking for all this stuff and the guy just keeps breaking grips and posturing and staying away from everything. So from the leg hug, it's really fast to just go right through there and go in the position. So again, to do that though, you have to have a legit, I'm trying to readjust that. There we go. Yeah. So you know, to do that though, you have to have a legitimate threat. If he decides to push this down and come down really aggressively, I need to want to play the cross sleeve or want to play the far sleeve, right? But then he starts hiding both of those, and now I'm in, right? So again, that just kind of goes back to, you guys keep going. That kind of goes back to knowing how to play multiple positions at a time. Nice. Nice, Tomic. What size is those mats? Arash, what size are those mats? 1 meter by 1 meter each, and we have 3 by 3. So I guess that's like what, 9 by 9, huh? Yeah, so 9 by 9 meters. Yeah. 10 square feet. Nice. Nice. Someone's going into the fireplace. What do you think of the current gi meta? How do you think things are going to evolve? I mean, I guess like at Europeans, there was a lot of lapel guards. It just really depends by weight division. I feel like lapel guards are really becoming a lot more popular. I feel like at drop bolos, like crab rides, dropping into crab rides, dropping into bolos, like why can't I think of his name? The one from Laprise. Why can't I think of his name? Who just beat Keenan. And Roberto, yeah, sorry. Why can't I think of Roberto? Yeah, Roberto's like, just beat Keenan and also beat Felipe Andrew. He didn't like drop Bolo Keenan, but he had a couple good attempts. I think that's kind of becoming more popular, especially if you stack a lot. You see Mergali do that as well. So like in passing, I think a lot of drop Bolos. Something Mergali is doing a lot more is a lot more like controlling the sleeve when passing De La Riva. Like he breaks the sleeve grips and then controls the sleeve a lot. I think there's a lot of, it's very interesting. He used that very effectively versus Kaina Duarte, who always holds the collar in De La Riva and bumps overhead. And I think when he was able to break that a lot, it made it easier to do like leg drags and reverse leg drags. That was really interesting. In the guard, I think the ankle lock stuff that like Mikey's been doing, also probably lapel stuff will keep growing, and probably a lot more collar sleeve in the way that like Tommy's been playing it, because I think he evolved it a lot, as well as like the key master and stuff. Do you usually have techniques or strategy for all kinds of positions, or do you approach it with concepts? I have techniques and strategies for all positions basically that I can. Of course, sometimes you're going to be fighting and someone puts you in something you just never experienced before. In that case, you want to have a strategy in the sense try to avoid that happening. But sometimes positions happen. You end up in a position you don't know what to do, and then you just have to deal with it, right? So then you're good. But I never want to have to be making something up. Like if I get put in worm guard the first time, I've never seen it before. I can make something up, but it's probably not going to be the best thing. But you don't have another choice. But like concepts, I find concepts to not really. I mean, like don't get tapped. You know, like when you're defending the guard, try not to let the guy in your elbow knee space. But generally, concepts are really hard to use when you're training. Like abstract things like half posture, those are really difficult because there's so many times that like you don't want posture. You want your head down, and then sometimes you want your head up. Sometimes you want your arm straight. Sometimes you want your arm bent. So looking for these broad concepts that connect everything together, I find often are not only not useful but counterproductive, because they end up confusing you because you're trying to carry some principle like have your elbows and knees tight, and then when you're passing you just always look like this, and it's like hard to even move. Can you recommend top control concepts like counters to escapes videos? I'm not really. Can you elaborate on that question? I have vice guard with De La Riva, and my opponent manages to leg drag the leg that is not on the De La Riva hook, and often when I get the triangle person, I struggle with final adjustment on angle. Yeah, that's so JJB on the vice guard triangle with the adjustment. When you go for the triangle, are you swiping the far arm with your right arm, or are you just making them post and shooting your hip up into the triangle? Do you know what I mean? Like there's a way, like when I do the video, sometimes when I make the guy post his hand, I let go of the sleeve grip and swipe their elbow really hard. And then, but some people when the guy posts the hand, they just shoot their hip up for the triangle. Like if you saw like Nick Boley training with like Guy, like when he did it, he kind of shot the hip up really quick for the triangle. When Guy posted the hand, but then Guy was able to repummel. You know what I mean? So when you're doing it, are you swiping the arm, or are you just when he posts his hand shooting?
Hand post and wrap. Does hand post and wrap mean you're trying to let go and swipe the far arm? Yeah, okay. So shooting after, oh, okay, so you're not swiping, you're just shooting it. Okay. So I think if you can time the hand post, swiping the arm with your arm is going to help a lot with that. Because you're correct in that if you just shoot it immediately, they often, like your hip is, like you said, it's like a little bit slightly off. So there's like this little gap here on them. If I'm the person on top, like there's a gap like right here. So then sometimes they can repummel their hand in. And that's where like I like the Tariqa Plata. Or if you know they're going to post their hand right when they post, if you let go of that sleeve grip and swipe the elbow, you're going to hook the elbow and it yanks them in deeper. You can even get the arm bar sometimes. I think that's like an easier way to get it. The other portion of that question, vice guard with De La Riva, my opponent manages to leg drag the leg that is not on the De La Riva hook. It's hard for me to imagine how they would be leg dragging that. Is it past the body, or could you, if you want, you can message me on Instagram and send me a video clip of exactly that position, because it's hard for me to imagine how they would be leg dragging your right leg in the vice guard because it's so far past the body. It seems like it'd be like impossible to drag that across. I would need to see that. Okay, I disagree with your view of concepts as the road towards a unified theory leads to greater depth of knowledge. It is all cost to benefit. A Venn diagram doesn't mean there is no hierarchy. Yeah, no. So I understand what you're saying, right? But when people start with, say, understanding physics, right? When you start with mathematics. You start with basic arithmetic. You don't start in relativity, and it's all up to your learning model and how you feel you learn the best. For me, uh, jiu-jitsu is so complicated, right? It's way more complicated than people even think, right? So when you're understanding physics, you start with basic arithmetic, and then you do subtraction, then you do multiplication, division, then you progress to algebra. And then as you understand how these independent systems and concepts work, then you tackle the broader topic of kind of combination, right? But if you start with someone in like, calculus 3, or differential equations, it's hard because then you have like all these meta systems going on of basic arithmetic and division that they don't even understand, right? So by starting with like simple concepts of within internal of a position, you'll eventually develop a broader concept, right? But often like what people are looking for are these broad principles, but it's difficult because there's no broad principle. Like for example, balance and base. Like you would think that there's some simple principle for balance and base that you can just always apply, but the most balanced based way to position yourself might get you triangle choked. Or like if you want to have the best posture in De La Riva, you might posture really hard, but then you get your ankle broken because the guy does a Kyoto ankle lock. And there's nothing in the idea of strong posture that accounts for the fact that someone's going to try to break your ankle, right? Or maybe when the person's in the lapel guard, if they hold the lapel with their palm down, there's a way you can grab behind your leg and rip it out of their hand. But if they grab it palm up, you can't do that. And trying to find some sort of overarching principle that's going to account for all of those variables is like basically impossible. So by tackling individual systems, you develop answers for each individual system. Then as you get good at separate systems, you can learn to combine them together. And it's not, again, like yeah, no problem. Not to say concepts is a loose term. Like even what I'm saying is a concept, right? So in that sense, concepts are fine if by concept you just mean an idea about training, right? But what I mean by concepts is like people will often say things like always have posture, always have your elbows tight, or control the guy's hip or stand this way. But sometimes like every concept you could give me short of like don't get submitted, like I can come up with like a counterpoint of when you wouldn't want to do that. Let's see. Yeah, like instructional videos on covers, for instance, how to maintain side cutter. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't really. I can't give you any good recommendations on that. I watch some instructionals, but I watch a lot of competition video, so I don't really know who has good instructionals out on that topic.
Well, Daniel and Tom got good training. All right, guys. Any more questions? Otherwise, I'm going to cut it here. I'll probably try another one tomorrow. Speaking of concept, what things do you look for when you know a profile is ready for brown? Let me think. Yeah, I mean, belts is just really, I think it's really case dependent on the person, right? Like if you have someone who's, 40, has like a family, they train 3 times a week, the criteria I'm going to hold them to is going to be a bit different than if someone is like, trying to make a career out of jiu-jitsu and wants to win a major title. So there's always things like that. The most important things for me are actual understanding of positions, like not someone who just fights off of instincts and goes crazy. Even if they're tough, they need to have understanding of the things they're doing. They don't need to understand everything, but like if you're going to get to purple belt, you should probably have like a decent understanding of like most of the common guards and a basic pass system for them. You should be able to, have a couple guards you play and the systems well, and as well as performance matters, right? I don't like to give belts to people, even if they've worked hard and stuff. If they can't, obviously if they're like 60 and they're like, I don't want to expect them to beat up a 20-year-old or something, but I care very much that people can actually use this stuff in sparring. If you are actually like, no matter how much technique you've watched, if you can't do it in sparring, I don't really like to promote, because that, although I feel like even though we're very far away from actual self-defense at this point with modern jiu-jitsu, there, to me, the bedrock is that this stuff needs to actually work. So if you can't use stuff in sparring when it matters, you're missing something. So that is probably the most important thing to me, is people's actual performance in sparring. You have to be able to perform stuff in sparring. And then I just base that off of how long they've been training, the positions and systems that they know, and how they do versus their peers and other people. But it's a loose general response. And also not being an asshole. That matters too. Okay, guys, one more question, and then I'm going to cut it, and we'll try again soon. You look good, Tomic. What'd you guys just do, collar sleeve passing the whole time? How does it feel? You said unless you go to double sleeve? Yeah, the collar sleeve feels really hard now. I almost feel like you have to like bail and switch to the pant leg and then go back to it. Did you see like Tommy versus Batista? Yeah, Tommy just tried to play collar sleeve, and like effectively he had to stop playing collar sleeve. He just switched to like collar pant and like lassoed the foot through, and then like would go to like keymaster with like collar and pant. And then as like he grabs the lapel, then he'd go back to the elbow, and then he'd be like back on the inside. You know what I mean? Just like I feel like if the guy on top, I think like Batista like plays somewhat similar to Lucas, but just with a left leg lead. So like Tommy always plays collar sleeve on the right side, right? So Batista leads with his left leg. So when Tommy fights Batista, it's like a normal collar sleeve, right? Because he's on the other side, right? So because of that reason, Batista is really good at keeping the elbow tight and looping the leg. And he does kind of like Lepre, not exactly, but kind of like it. And then you can tell that like Tommy can't do the normal attacks. He can't get that quick omoplata triangle. So then at some point in the match, he stops doing collar sleeve and he like stays on his side. You know how you're on your side when you're doing that knee shield? And instead of doing collar sleeve, he lets go and goes to the pant, loops the foot through, and then does like keymaster with collar and pant, and then starts switching back to the sleeve. Does that make sense? Yeah. Huh? King of the mats. Or king of mats. King of the mats. I don't know. One of those. No problem. Daniel, my shoulder's doing good, man. It's like 100% now. Knee is a little bit bummed, but it's not a big deal. Actually, my training has been really good the last month, so I've just been doing a lot of training with the guy here at the house and stuff. Thanks for asking. That's Daniel Reza that used to train with us. Daniel, who used to train with us.
Reza. Don't worry about it. If you play when dealing with collar sleeve guard is taking the surfing foot and dropping it into Ashi Gatami a good option. What is the surfing foot? Do you guys know what the surfing foot is? Okay, like the kind of when dealing with collar sleeve guard is taking the surfing foot and dropping into Ashi Gatami a good option. So okay, so you're saying if you're on top and the guy has you in collar sleeve with the foot in the bicep, is it a good option to drop back and try to like kind of go for almost like single leg X or an ankle lock type position? I think yes and no. Like if you're in collar sleeve and you feel like the person is going to submit you and you have no idea what's about to happen and you're in a tournament, absolutely that's the best choice because you're going to get killed anyway. So why not just drop, get out of the collar sleeve attack, and then you can maybe go for an ankle lock. And if they go on top, you have single leg X and you could try to re-sweep. So strategically, that's not a bad idea if you don't know what to do. But I think it's way better to learn how to actually kill the position because to me that's kind of like disengaging. So which again is the best choice if you're in trouble because you don't want like don't get submitted the concept that we all agree on. You're going to get submitted if you stay there. So dropping down, disengaging, and then going back up is good. That being said, there's guys out there who are so good at killing collar sleeve they go right through it and pass it. So you want to be that guy. So when you're in the gym, I would not do that. And then really work on trying to learn to pass the thing and shut it down because you can do that, right? Work on that. And then if you happen to be in tournament and you're like, man, this is way too, I can't handle this collar sleeve, then go ahead and do that to save the day so you don't get submitted. Maybe you re-sweep the guy and pass him before he gets collar sleeve, if that makes sense. That's the difference between like strategy and tactics. Cool. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll probably do another one tomorrow or maybe this weekend. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.